Every day, 34 people in their 20s and 30s are diagnosed with cancer.
On the 7th of July 2015, I was one of the 34.
On the 28th of August 2008, I was one of the 34.
But in Series 2, we're going younger.
We're teaming up with Teenage Cancer Trust to bring you 7 new storytellers.
As 7 13 to 24-year-olds are diagnosed every day.
So, Series 2 focuses on them.
These are the stories of what happens afterwards.
This is AfterThoughts.
The teenage years. Are you sure you got a decaf?
I don't know. It does feel quite buzzy. Hi, Alice.
Hi, Toby. How are you?
You got your mid-laugh there, Alice.
Did. Hi, Toby. How are you?
I'm all right, thank you. What is going on with you?
What is going on with me?
It's been a couple of months, hasn't it? Is it months? No, maybe a month since we.
Yeah, maybe a month since we last recorded. But here in London, we are going into Tier 3 tomorrow. So, we're still on with the coronavirus chat. I just think it's mad that we launched season 1 at the start of coronavirus and we're wrapping up recording series 2 and coronavirus still isn't over.
Also, Alice, it was quite interesting the other day. I was editing one of the episodes, and that was at the end of lockdown 1, and you were talking about moving into tier 2 or tier 3. I can't remember in the chat, and I was just like, oh my word! I was like, oh, this is going to be out of date, and I was like, no, we're doing exactly the same thing right now.
That's so funny. Yeah, because we've had another lockdown since then as well, right?
Oh, it's all been kicking off, and looks like Christmas is a coming. Christmas is a coming where it's going to be a mad dash of free for all for everybody, unless things change before we release this.
And I was thinking earlier.
Oh yeah.
Because I was thinking about when Brad came to record in series 1, and we had a winter Yule log because it was somebody's birthday, and it's somebody's birthday again on Friday, isn't it?
It is somebody's birthday this Friday. So I'm.
And whose birthday is it, Toby?
Oh, that's mine. Yeah. No Yule log for me.
No Yule log, no Colin.
No Colin, no nothing, because I had some plans for the old birthday, but it's all going to stop now. Though I am, Alice, doing what you have recommended to me, and I think I want to share this, not because we're getting like a bonus. Maybe we should get them on as a sponsor.
Yeah.
But I'm going floating.
I'm so glad that you've booked, because it's one of those things where you're like, I did this, it was amazing, you should do it too. And then usually you're like, nobody's going to do that, and you actually are doing it, and I'm so into it.
It's my birthday treat. That's what I've gone for. My partner and I are both doing it.
Are you?
Not in the same one. That would be
no,
and not what we're going for at all. It's can you explain floating to those who don't float regularly?
Yeah, so it's really interesting that you say that you and Christy are going together but not doing it in the same tub. I'll come back to that in a minute.
Oh, okay,
but basically, there's a place called Floatworks in London, and you basically float for an hour in like a space pod, essentially, that's full of salty water. So it's full of so much water, like you said, that they reckon you can read the newspaper in the Red Sea because it's so salty. It's like that, but you're in this little space pod, and it's like a sensory deprivation thing. And it's been featured on The Simpsons as well. And it's like a meditation thing. And if you're meditating, you might see some fancy lights and some colours and stuff like that. And I did it last week, and it was fantastic.
Slightly scared, actually, now, Alice. Now you've said that, I'm like,
no, don't be scared.
What am I going to see?
So chill.
Okay.
Like, you will feel just delightful afterwards. Somebody was saying to me that they did it with their partner. They went somewhere. I can't remember who it was I was talking to, but they went and did it with their partner in like a massive tub. So a tub for 2 people, but they kept on bumping into each other.
Oh, no.
So it was like the antithesis of chill.
Yeah, no, that would be horrible. But it's interesting us talking about this because the reason it's about mind and body connection, isn't it? Which,
Right.
I mean, it links us perfectly to talking about Borys.
Yeah, the brilliant Borys. What a fantastic guest we have for our listeners today.
For the last episode of series 2, last guest anyway.
Yeah.
And it's quite an international call, wasn't it?
Very international, but should we let Borys explain why it's so international?
Of course.
And should we dive on in?
Let's go for it. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Afterthoughts. Hi, Alice.
Hello, Toby. Excited to be back here behind the mic again, this time with Borys. Welcome, Borys.
Hi, Toby. Hi, Alice. Great to be here with you.
Thank you, Borys.
Thanks
Borys, can you tell us where are you zooming in from?
I'm currently zooming from Honolulu, Hawaiian island of Oahu.
Just the most casual thing ever.
Alice, is Borys like the furthest reaching call that we've done?
I think that's a pretty solid yes.
I think the furthest we've done before is Edinburgh.
Edinburgh, yeah.
Edinburgh. So you do win, just about.
And Borys, can you just tell?
We have a new competition.
Yeah. How far afield can we get?
Well, yeah, it's actually almost exactly on the other side of the globe, so I don't think you can get further.
Amazing. And can you tell us, just to show your commitment to the cause of Afterthoughts, can you tell us what time it is, please?
It's currently 5 a.m.
I love this so much. I love your dedication and commitment.
Well, welcome.
Serving a great purpose.
Welcome to the podcast, and we're so happy we could have you on to wrap up series 1. Series 2. We're on series 2. I got completely lost there, Alice. Sorry, but we always kick off, Borys, the start of our episodes with a quick fire round just to get to know you a little bit, and the listeners to be able to get to know you a little bit. It's not that quick, but we'll try our best. I've had a decaf coffee, so I might be able to speed up a little bit. But Alice, are you ready to go for our quick fire questions?
I'm ready. Are you ready?
I'm starting though, aren't I?
You are.
Amazing. Okay. Borys, could you tell us please what pronouns you use?
He, him.
And who do people say that you look like?
Well, so when I was younger and I was much slimmer, people would say I'm like a blend of Snoop Dogg and Michael Jordan. So they would, my team would call me Snoopy.
Wow.
But now people sometimes say I look like Will Smith.
Amazing. Great.
Also, have you been watching His Dark Materials?
Yes.
Have you seen the program? It's on the BBC. I think you've got a similar look to Will.
Yeah, I see that.
No,
we'll send you a photo, Borys. We'll send you a photo.
I'll send you a photo. I've only just seen it. I was suddenly like, oh yes, that's where I'm seeing it. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Borys, if you could be any toy, what toy would you be?
Well, it's probably going to be boring, but when I was a child, I was so content with my model airplanes, passenger airplanes, and that was anything, like just the only thing I needed. So yeah, I would say just one of my passenger planes.
Nice.
That is like a classic staple. Great stuff. What would you say your favorite biscuit is?
Probably white chocolate chip cookie.
Yes. Yeah, no, I actually really love white chocolate. I'm a white chocolate and raspberry kind of guy sometimes. So,
yeah, they add raspberry in. Yeah.
Ooh, now this is going to be a tough one because you're in a really lovely place. But if you had a teleporter, where would you go in the world right now? Down the road to the beach.
Well, I would probably go to my hometown in Poland, Poznań, because I haven't been there for a while, and it would be just good to see my grandparents and all my family. So yeah, just coming back home.
I love
where it all started.
And what is your go-to dish? Things maybe like to cook or to eat.
Go-to dish, I would say just a simple, good, warming. Well, not right now, but when in UK, lentil soup. So yeah.
Oh, yes, nice,
Definitely.
lovely. Big one, cat or dog?
Well, I would say maybe cat if it's the one with no hair on it.
What?
I am genuinely shocked.
I just don't like when hair lies everywhere on sofa, on my clothes. So it's about that. But if I was gonna to play with dog or cat, it would be a dog, definitely.
Okay.
I love that. I love that you went for bald cat though. That's brilliant. I think bald cats are the worst cats.
My partner really wants to get one of those cats, and I am completely against it. And I feel really bad for that, but I look at them and I just go, "That's not what that's not what I want in a cat.
Not cuddly enough.
It's not what I want in a cat."
Anyway, Borys, could you please give us just a one-line description, one-liner about your diagnosis, please?
Yes, so I was diagnosed in May 2018 with Hodgkin's lymphoma, stage 2A. I was 21 years old at the time, and now I'm 23 years old, and the treatment finished in September 2018. So,
amazing. And what treatment did you have?
I had ABVD chemotherapy.
Up first on this week's episode of Afterthoughts, the Teenage Years, we talk about beyond a diagnosis. We hear an awful lot about those moments of diagnosis, but we want to know what happens afterwards. We are Afterthoughts, after all. And so, Borys, I'm going to hand over to you so that you can tell us a story about beyond a diagnosis.
I remember sitting at the doctor's office, and just came after my small biopsy of lymph nodes in my neck. And he told me that I have lymphoma. And at that moment, I was just like, what on earth is lymphoma? And he told me it's type of cancer. And I just remember that total silence. I was just like, how is that possible? Like, I was leading a healthy lifestyle, and suddenly this thing happened to me, and I just couldn't understand it. So I needed an operation. And I said, okay, I appreciate that, but we actually need to wait 2 weeks so I can finish my final year, second year exams. So I had to accept the reality of having a cancer and kind of block it out and do what I needed to do, which was just finish my exams. So yeah, I came after 2 weeks to hospital. I had an operation, and diagnosis was approved that it's Hodgkin's lymphoma. So I was recommended 6 cycles of ABVD chemotherapy, which would be 6 months. And actually, I had a period of 2 weeks after my operation. And so in that period of time, I was totally lost. I didn't know what to do, because for other things in my life, I was always able to do something. If I was bad at maths, I could just study, do the questions, and get better at it. If I was missing jump shots in basketball, I would just do them over and over again and get better at it. But now it was cancer, and I was just like, what can I do about it? Like, there is nothing, and I was totally lost. So I just remember myself just asking God or like higher power, like, please help me, like, I don't know what to do. And suddenly the angels came to me, which I call people in my life. And my mom sent me, actually forced me to go to a mindfulness meditation course. and I just had to listen to her and just be open to new ideas. And I discovered meditation, and I had an amazing teacher who taught me what to do when you're ill, to use your mind to become healing, so you actually immerse yourself fully into getting better every single day, every single moment. And also my mom's friend recommended me to detox my body fully, so it was through a plant-based diet, which I never thought about it before, but I was so desperate to try it out. And those two things changed my life forever and my perception of the reality. And I never look back, because it's what made me the human I am today. So going back to doctors, I've been meditating for 1.5 weeks and eating plants like crazy, feeling very good, very confident in myself. And doctor told me to have 6 months of chemotherapy, and I told him there's no way I'm doing 6 months, I'm doing 2. So I negotiated with the doctor, and the doctor just looked at me and like, okay, we can test you after 3 months. And I said 2 months. And he said, okay, we'll do the scan after 2 months, and we'll go from there. So coming to 2 months, I had the results, and I've shown full remission after 2 months, and they just gave me one more cycle, and I finished in September and went off to uni like nothing happened.
Our next part on Afterthoughts is to dive into the stories about those around us. As we know, a lot of the time we hear those stories of the person who are going through it, but we also want to hear about the impact it has on those that are also alongside us at those moments. So, Borys, it's over to you for those around us.
So in your everyday life, you kind of go without noticing the community of people around you, because you are well off and you don't really need their presence as much. But when I was diagnosed with cancer, I have noticed the strength of the community, of the people around me, how people went the extra mile to help me out and help me be strong and feel good. One person that I felt throughout my treatment was my dad, who was at the time in Poland and I was studying in Bristol. And he would fly from Poland every other chemotherapy I was getting, and just leaving his whole business and just leaving everything behind and just coming and being there for me. And he didn't like hospitals at all. When I was having the cannula put in to have my chemotherapy go into my body, he would actually just try to stare at the wall, or he would just start passing out. And sometimes the nurse had to hold him so that he doesn't sleep on the floor.
My dad too. My dad too, but trying his best to look the part. I don't know if did your dad do that? Try to act like he was all right?
No, he totally owned it.
Great. That's amazing.
He was like, Borys, I'm not good.
Yeah.
So he actually went quite a significant way ahead of his comfort zone just to be there for me and support me in the hard moments. And I remember our relationship improved massively because we would just come out of the hospital after the treatment and we would just walk for 6 hours around Bristol, just exploring different parts of Bristol, just talking, walking, and just being together.
Next up on Afterthoughts, the teenage years, we are talking invisible impacts. There's loads of side effects to cancer, and we hear a lot about a lot of them, but there are still some invisible impacts of cancer. And Borys, we would love to hear your story about how cancer has affected you, perhaps in some invisible ways. Over to you.
I remember having conversation with my mom, and she's the person that knows me best, having me growing up with her for 21 years. And she told me that I have changed as a person. I'm 180 degrees. Oh, I was like, yeah, I know, because the experience it taught me so much. I think that's the case for a lot of people going through cancer, teenagers or adults. When you face the diagnosis, your head ramps up significantly, because not very often a teenager is told that their life or the overall health is at risk. And you just start questioning a lot of things and asking big questions. Some of them might be, what's the purpose of life? Like, why this has happened to me? What does it mean? And some questions are very hard and you just don't know the answer to. So you kind of become like a seeker in life. Like, you just look for the truth and something to comfort you why this experience is happening. But there is no way I'm acting the same way and ever judging anyone without knowing the deeper story behind the person. So I'm always the last one to judge now, and because I know that behind every human being there is a story that we cannot see. One other thing is, it just came to me, we learn about how fragile life is, like, because when you're young you just go through life like you're a Superman, nothing can happen to you, you nice fit, bones don't hurt, and you can party 5 days in a row and you're still fine. But then with cancer you like, oh, life is actually fragile. Like, right now I'm at risk of my life, and I need to do something about it. How people notice the change in me, especially my mom, who knows me best, and how I matured like a cheese. Sorry, I just had to say.
The next section of Afterthoughts is to focus on teenage kicks. Now, teenage kicks is a new section for Afterthoughts in series 2, because we really wanted to highlight the stories of teenagers who have gone through cancer and how that might differ to teenagers who would never have gone through cancer. So we are looking for a story about teenage kicks. Over to you, Borys.
Growing up with just my mother and my dad not being there every day, I have developed a strong desire to build a family, have a full working family, and I was looking forward to fatherhood. But as you go through chemotherapy, one of the things you need to consider is that your infertility might be affected. And this is something hard for a young person wanting to have a family to absorb. And I remember turning up to the Center of Reproductive Medicine and going in, and there are families there together, some other older men, I'm just the young chap going in. I'm just like, what am I doing here? But okay, I need to do the right thing to preserve my family. Yeah, so I remember just being guided by the nurse into the room where I have to do the thing. Remember walking in, the red sofa, old square TV with some cassettes. And I'm just like, I don't know if I can do it. And the fact that, you know, someone is outside the door, then you emerge after some time and you see the same faces and everyone just looks at you and they know what you just did. So that was something I had to go through, and it was very hard to focus and do anything. But yeah, it had to be done. It took a long time, but yeah, I succeeded. I don't know. It's just it's a sensitive topic to talk about.
Definitely. And I think that it's also something like that can be perceived that it should be seen as the easy bit, right? And there's a really interesting documentary called The Easy Bit, which I've kind of just used there. So I'll flag that of going that, which is talking about the male side of fertility and IVF. And I think sometimes it can seem like going to that place is easy, and it really isn't. I would put it up as one of the worst parts of my treatment.
So this was definitely something hard, and the experience of going to sperm bank is also a hard and not comfortable experience to go through as a young person.
Now we are going to dive into some of the lost conversations around cancer. We're talking about things more all the time. You know, we're reducing stigma around cancer and all sorts of other things, but there's always work to do. So, Borys, we would love to hear about one of your lost conversations.
So we go to a doctor and we are told, okay, you'll get this many cycles of this treatment, and yeah, those are the side effects you can get, and yeah, you just have to deal with it. It might hurt, it might be hard, but no one ever tells us how we can affect how we feel, how we do with the aspect of our mind. I was talking to doctor about it, and they're like, you can try this, nothing hurts. Like, if any doctor tells you that there's no mind-body connection, just think of erection. Like, it's the easiest example, right? Right? So yeah, it's about creating good feeling in yourself, removing stress. I have a story about stress. One like the last cycle I came in stressed because I just didn't want to eat before my treatment, and my mom was like, oh, you have to eat. And I'm like, no, it always makes me feel good when I go fasted. And we had just like, I just exploded. I don't know, just maybe trapped emotion. I just exploded at her. And then I was like, I'm sorry, but I was very tense going there, and they couldn't put the needle in for 3 times. Like they tried every single vein, and then they had to ask the best nurse and on the whole unit just to get it in. So you could just feel from that point, like when I came in stressed, but my body resisted anything. So it's the importance of not having stress, being in the as relaxed state as possible. And yeah, in fact, I got very bad vein inflammation, but I was in pain for 1 week straight. Like my whole arm was in pain. So then I had to have the canal in just to, I don't know what is it called, but it inserts just in your arm and goes just above your heart inside of you. Yeah, and it's just focusing on positive. And in fact, I refused to read the sheet with side effects because I didn't want them to be in my subconscious, but they can appear. I was just, okay, I'll be present, I'll be observing what happens, but I don't want to have anything in my head that I might manifest in some way, like I'll get that or this, or is this going to happen? Am I going to vomit? You know, you just don't think about the negatives and be very present. Watch what's happening with your body, but stay positive. And for me, that was the meditation. Each day I was visualizing healing, trying to stay in a positive attitude toward everything. And it's about not holding hard feelings toward the treatment, because we are giving a perception that it's chemotherapy is kind of harmful, it's harsh chemicals, they might create some side effects. But it's good to approach it as something that will help you and help you heal. So be like grateful. Okay, this is coming into my veins. Well, one thing I did, there was like a pink medicine. One of the ABVD's drugs was just pink color, and I was like, okay, now I'm given strawberry juice. And then there was yellow one, so I was okay. Now I'm grapefruit juice, no, grape juice. So I was just trying to make it seem as it's something, you know, nothing so bad. And, you know, I was the cook and you are just one of the ingredients to create something out of it, you know? So it was just, I'm the boss here and you're just helping me to do something. Well, that's my own belief that sometimes cancer doesn't happen to us but for us, because there is this hard bit, like I don't want anyone to go through it, but there are things that we can learn from it, take out, find our purpose, I don't know, awaken. Like there's a lot of positives around it from the experience, but it's just what perception we have in our head, how we approach it, how we approach the experience.
The last section of Afterthoughts is to focus on the slightly lighter side of the cancer experience. We know that there are lots of heavier stories that come through something like cancer, but we also know that there are moments that are hugely hilarious. So Borys, it's going to be over to you to tell us your don't laugh story.
When I told my best friend from Poland, Mateusz, that I'm diagnosed with cancer and I will have chemotherapy, he's a medicine doctor. He you know, he was like, oh, you'll be fine, you're strong, this is kind of like treatment. But then he was like, when you need to shave your head, I'll do it with you. He kept asking, how is your hair? How is your hair? He was really looking forward to it. Yeah, the day came, my hair got a little bit, my hair lost a little bit of density. So I was like, okay, maybe you can do it. But given he was in Poland and I was in Bristol, we had to do it over FaceTime. So we put FaceTime on with his very nice pro trimmer with lights on, you know. I was like, oh man, like, and I looked at mine, and at that point it was already half dead. And I was like, I don't feel comfortable doing that. But he was like, oh, come on, it'll be fun. I'm like, okay. So he started going, and it's like tractor, you know, going through his hair. Smooth, nice. Okay, now me. And at first glance, the razor just blocked. Okay, I'm shaving, he's almost done. I'm shaving millimeter by millimeter. And then maybe 20% into front of my hair, the trimmer drops dead.
Oh no.
And I just see the dark tunnel. I'm like, oh my days, what am I going to do? So I was like, and we're like laughing for half an hour at this situation. I'm like, okay, I need to figure out something. Like, I need to go to barber shop, and I'm walking towards the barber shop, and I remember my hands sweating. I'm like, oh, what if there's like 10 people there, and I need to like be half bald at the front and take my hat off. And I'm walking up the stairs to barber shop, and I enter, and there is just one guy, and it's the guy who was going to cut my hair. I'm like, oh, okay, good thing. I sat down, and I'm taking off my hat, and the guy looked, and I'm like, okay, what can I do for you? And I was just like, just shave me bald, please. So I was so thankful there wasn't any like funny reaction.
That is so funny. And I love that he was just like, oh, so what can I do for you? And you were like, finish this? Like, sort this out, please. That is so funny. Oh, God. You've got to laugh. You've got to laugh or you'd cry.
You do indeed. And I mean, your hair looks lovely now, Borys. I can
It really
say
does.
that.
I was going to say, actually, I think you really suited being bald. You sent us over some photos and I think it worked. I think it was a good look.
Yeah, my girlfriend liked it.
So that's Borys. That's it. We have that's the end of Afterthoughts. You have been a great guest. I mean, like
Fantastic.
I say, zooming in all the way from Hawaii, and the nice thing is we're starting to see the it get lighter behind you, and I keep going, oh my word, it's going to be light soon. So thank you so much for coming so early in the morning for us.
Yeah, we really appreciate it. And you've been a fantastic storyteller. Thank you so much for sharing your stories with us.
Well, thank you so much for giving the platform to tell my story and for having me. And I'm very grateful for what you do and spread the awareness of young people having cancer. It's very important. And thank you so much.
So that was Borys, Alice.
Borys, oh my goodness, I love him.
People couldn't see, but in the background, the sun was slowly rising, and it was just absolutely beautiful. And to think that he has got up at 5 a.m. to, bless him, Zoom us.
And is now going for a full day of work.
He's going for a full day of work. What a treat.
Yeah.
And what a wise soul. That was what I was getting. I was just like, yeah, so wise. One
of my friends said to me once that she thinks people like live lots of lives and they don't necessarily know about it. So it's not like a past life thing, but they kind of take that wisdom with them from their past lives to their current life. And I definitely think Borys is like he's got like at least 200 years of experience under his belt. Such a wise person and just really incredible stories there. One of the things that really got me right in the feels was when he said sometimes cancer doesn't happen to us, but it happens for us. And I was just like, blimey, are you like 21 or are you like 101? Like, so wise. And I just thought that was fantastic.
Yeah, and like the stuff about his relationship with his dad and things, and like talking about like how that's changed, and his own relationship to wanting to be a father was was so important. And I mean, Alice, we've talked about this in Afterthoughts quite we've talked about not quite a lot, but we've talked about it a few times. And the importance, I really find it so important for men to talk about the fertility issues, because particularly going to the sperm bank, and Borys really opened up about like what that action is like and how it might seem like it could be something, but how hard and how difficult it is, both physically and mentally, for a young man to go to a place like that and have to deposit sperm, and for that to affect your kind of ongoing relationship to what your future could be.
That just reminded me of something. I have to tell you this. I might have told you before, but obviously when I went through treatment, I had to do egg retrieval, and Chris and I, my partner, we decided that we would do some eggs and some embryos. So obviously for embryos, he had to go and make his sperm deposit. And I remember talking to my mum, so this was not long after I was diagnosed, and I said to my mum, oh, Chris went to make his deposit at the sperm bank today. And she was like, oh, really? Was it much? Will he get it back? And I was like, Mom, let's just rethink that. It wasn't money. It was sperm.
Oh.
And she just thought that he'd had to make a financial deposit rather than a biological deposit.
Yeah. Alice, tell me, what were your afterthoughts on today's episode of Afterthoughts?
Oh, I forget that we do that. My afterthoughts on today's episode of Afterthoughts are just the resounding power of the mind-body connection. You know, there's more and more research being done into it, and I don't think Borys was talking about toxic positivity or being positive when you don't want to be. I think he was just talking about being realistic, and I really loved his kind of Buddhist approach to health. And I think there's lots that we can take from Eastern and other medicine and apply it to Western medicine. And I think Borys was a real advocate of that. And Toby, what is your afterthought on today's Toby, what are your afterthoughts on today's episode of Afterthoughts?
Well, Alice, I was really kind of taken by the kind of appreciation of the things that Borys has gone through. That kind of really stuck with me, of him talking about appreciating the fact that he's the treatments he was having, and the fact that kind of the way that he was looking at those things in a different light. And it's so hard to appreciate those things that are causing you pain, and so hard when they're like, he talked about losing his hair, he's talking about fertility, all of these things that it has impacted. And I think there's something really important there about looking at the fact that he is a young man who is facing something that was never expected, but trying to make the best out of that hard situation. And I just really took something from that, of going again of why we appreciate those people who are developing new treatments, those people who are funding the NHS,
100%,
and why we have to continue to keep developing new things that will support people who are experiencing cancer, be them young, be them old, be them middle-aged. And I'm so glad that he could come on and share that part of his experience.
What an end to this series of Afterthoughts, the teenage years.
Well, we'll do a wrap-up show, won't we?
Yeah, we will.
We will do a wrap-up show for you, don't you worry, and that will have some good bits. It will also have us having a little exploration of some of the stories that we've heard and listening back to those. But also, Alice, you're going to go into the quick-fire question round, aren't you?
Yeah, and you are as well, right?
Oh, yeah. Sorry, yeah, it's not like...
So I thought you were just like, you're going to do it, I'm not doing it.
You're doing it, I'm not doing it. But for now, adieu.
Ta-ra then.
Ta-ra, ta-ra, ta-ra. I don't know what that is. All right, goodbye.
Bye. If today's episode of Afterthoughts has brought up any thoughts or feelings that you'd like to speak to somebody about, we really recommend grabbing a cuppa with a friend or dropping them a message on WhatsApp. There are also tons of charities out there who can help you if you've been through cancer and need a bit of extra psychological support. Thanks so much to Teenage Cancer Trust for supporting Afterthoughts, the teenage years, and supporting teens and young adults diagnosed with cancer in the UK. The work they do is incredible. Find out more at teenagecancertrust.org. Afterthoughts is produced by Alice May Purkiss and Toby Peach from Beyond Arts, with sound design by Kieran Lucas.